Let's make it, or a tower, sorry, let's make a human tower. So now when you're making towers, and just like with really all your POIs, I like to use mountains, hills, and stuff like that. And the reason why I like to use hills and mountains when I'm putting something on top of it is because normally for defenses, height gives you a point of view advantage. It allows for arrows and projectiles to shoot farther. It gives you a height advantage against attackers. So putting POIs on top of hills and mountains is a strategic decision that allows for better defenses. So if I'm going to make a tower, I probably want to put it on a hill. Why would I do that? Because it makes the tower even higher up, right? It's even taller. Projectiles can be shot even farther away. You have a better perspective. You're towering over the trees that might be in the distance. You can see armies. You can see people coming, right? So height is super important. I've already done kind of a brown and green. Let's maybe make a tower that's in the snow, because we haven't done a snow one. So let's pick a hill that's in the snow. First, let's pick this. Now, there aren't a lot of snow options in the world style, and that's okay, because one thing that you can always do if you want something to be in the snow is just to drop the saturation of a stamp all the way to 0 to make it black and white or grayscale. And that way it will be relatively within the same grayish, whitish kind of range as your snowy trees, your snowy hills, stuff like that, okay? So let's first pick that location. I want to create a central hill in which the tower will be placed. And I'm going to want to pick a tower. And I'm going to stick with human. So there's this tower right here. It's already relatively within the same kind of color scheme, but I'll place it down and I'm going to just remove all the color from it. Okay, so I'll go in and just go to saturation. There's no color. You can change the brightness, drop the brightness. It's really up to you which way you want to go. You can bring in that contrast or drop the contrast. Lots of different options to choose from. I don't want it to be that big because the line work is just so incredibly different. Look how thick these lines are in comparison to this. Okay, so factor that in, make sure. So let's do some fun stuff. Let's put some, oh, that's a flat, by the way, my mistake. That's not what we're doing here. I'm supposed to be using isometric. Silly me, sorry about that. Let me expand here and take a look at our isometric options. I don't think that there are any isometric towers other than, let me see, this one. Not really. I don't really see any isometric towers. So we'll have to use a tower from a different set. And there's a couple options here. Let's go with the Elven towers. I really like the Elven stuff. It's super cool. So I'm just going to place one. I'm going to drop the saturation, of course. And I'm probably going to bring up the brightness a little bit. And I'm going to place one. And it's okay. If the lineness is a little thick, that's okay. Just make sure that you use other stamps to kind of hide some of that thickness. Like this line right here at the bottom clashes so obviously with the line work of this one. So you're going to have to do some things to make it work out okay. So let's do this one. I'm going to place that there. I'm going to take another tower and probably stack it. I really like stacking stamps. I think it really looks nice when you do that. So I'll place that down. And I'm going to go ahead and change that saturation again and boost up some of the brightness. Obviously put this above cool layer like this and put this on top. And that's kind of just the basic part. We can make it a little bit bigger, add a little bit more like this. And we're going to add a lot more than just this. We can add a lot. So let's just do some changes. Let's go to transform and change this width. Yeah, I do like the desert tower, by the way. That looks really cool. That one might work as well. So we can actually add in like a desert castle or something in the next one. I think that's kind of cool. So let's add in that. So you have that. That looks nice. Let's do some different things. Let's just maybe make it asymmetrical. Instead of a perfectly cylindrical tower, maybe we want to add something to it that makes it a bit different. So let's maybe add in this one right here. And in fact, we can even change things up a little bit. Let's do something a bit more interesting. Let me boost this brightness up. Let me remove this middle one, and we'll put the tower actually on top of this one. So I'll bring this down a layer like this. And now this tower is going to be a bit different. Okay, I'll put this on top like that. So this tower has a nice kind of entryway that goes right in. So that looks kind of nice in my opinion. And you can add in like maybe quarters for a person that lives on the side, maybe a caretaker. So maybe I just want to throw in like a little house or something that kind of branches off of it. So let me make sure that I drop that saturation and brightness. And again, I'll make sure to advocate for more additions to this style, because honestly, you shouldn't really have to do all this stuff. You should just have a winter set for it, and we'll make sure to, you know, do what we can to try to see if we can find time to do that, because we are super busy. Our plate is ridiculously full. So I'm going to probably add some things. Let me add in actually another little hill. I'll just put it right in the front. Let's do a small one like right here. And I could say that maybe this is just like the caretaker's house. I'm going to put this up a layer and put this right here so that you have a little more than just the tower itself. And we have that. Now there's other things that we could do. We could add some things protruding out of the tower. We could add some more buildings. You could have maybe some clouds to show that the tower is really high. You could throw in some clouds swirling around that, and I can show you how to do that. So let's add in some trees. I'm going to add in some snowy trees, and then after that we'll have some clouds swirling around the top of the tower. Okay, so let's put down some trees first. Put some here. Again, always overlap, have them just going over. And then once you've added in those bigger ones, again, just drop the size down, add in a couple more like this that are overlapping. Push down a couple layers to make sure that there's some behind it. So you could put one right there. Oopsie, I think that needs to go down a layer. There we go. So you have some in the back if you want, behind the hills, right? So put one behind, so there's behind the hills. So you have this nice little snowy little tower here. Let's just make it a little bit bigger as well, like this. Okay, so you have this nice little snowy tower here. That works for me. I'm okay with it. Bring it down. Next, we want to add some clouds. Right now, some of the clouds might not work for you. You want to make custom clouds. Well, I'm going to make custom clouds with the path tool. Okay, I'm going to increase this. I'm going to make the shadow white because they're clouds. Look, I just made a cloud just like that. Look at that. Okay, now it's exactly the way I want it. So now I'm going to make some individual clouds. I'm going to make a circle of clouds that are going around it. So I'm going to go like this, create one cloud formation right there, create another cloud formation right there. And I think I might have to go up a layer. I want it to be going in front of the tower, like that, in the front, like that. And then I'm going to go in and bring it back down a layer to make sure that there's some behind it. So create a little swirl like this, and then a little bit right here, okay? Now, if you want it to be like, maybe those are storm clouds because the tower is, you know, protected by a storm, then you can do that. You can go and just go back to color, change it to black, add in maybe black, make the shadows black, like this, and then we'll have to go in and change the shadow a little bit like this. And I'm going to change the opacity just a bit. And so you have maybe some clouds there, and you want to add in some maybe electricity, right? Maybe some lightning or something. So we'll change this up, bring the width down, and add some yellow, and then add a yellow kind of shadow to it. And let's just bring that shadow down, and it's way down like this. And you can go in and just throw in a couple lightning strikes just coming out like this to kind of create a storm. And we'll make sure to change that layer to the right. So you have these nice thunderstorm like this. If you want, you can connect them, create some lightning. So you have a storm going on, or you can just make snow coming down. It's whatever you want. There are so many kind of different options that you can kind of go with. So that's how I would go about going with that. I kind of like white clouds more, but the black sticks out more against the texture that I'm using with here. So I'll just go with that. Once you've kind of finished that up, you can go ahead and just group those all together, and we'll call it a human tower. There we go. Oh, oopsie. Human. It's a human tower. Just go ahead and add it. There you go. So you have a nice human tower. Yeah, you got a nice little thunderstorm in a snowy area, which makes no storm. No sense. Thunder snow. Hey, come on. It's magic, right? I love it. It's thunder snow. Don't touch that snowflake. It will electrocute you. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to make my save. So that's how I would go about with your kind of snowy things. Just drop the opacity or drop the saturation. Bloop, 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 bloop. Drop the saturation so that way at least it's kind of in that gray spectrum until we add snowy buildings. Now I can tell you that you can add snow to buildings actually. Let me show you that real quick. Now this is kind of the quick way to do snow. There's other ways that are less quick, they're a little bit more time consuming. You can paint snow on your structures using the path tool. So let me just show that real quick. Yeah, I want to show two techniques. So this is the quicker way, is just to drop this, but let's say that you want to add snow, right? Same thing, add a path, change the width. I'm going to make it white, of course, right? As you would expect, change that shadow. I'm not going to add a blur to it. I'm just going to keep this, and I'm obviously going to want to bring the opacity all the way up and bring that width up. And then I'm just going to apply that snow to, let's say, the roof like this, okay? And I'm just going to kind of create just some random little, like this, put it on top, fill in that whole section like this. Be careful, by the way, when you're doing this, because sometimes the path tool can be a little wonky. Just be careful. So I'm going to put that on top like this. So there's some of your snow. Now there's things that you can do. You can change that blend mode again, lighten, screen, color dodge, overlay. So if you want to have some snow and you can still kind of keep the overall texture of it like that, so you can go do that. Let's put some snow up here maybe. 1 second while I add that path. One moment. See? 1 second, we'll go ahead and just add that. So you can add some snow, maybe just kind of going down like this to add some snow on there. Same thing here if you want. You can add some, oops, see, there's what I mean. Oopsie, naughty, naughty. You can kind of put some snow like leaning up against here like this. So wherever you want to add it, put some snow there. You want to put some snow on top of this house right here. Put it on top of the roof of that dormer. Maybe some of it sloughing off, going down. And you can even add little patches, like maybe put some right here. Maybe put a little patch right here. Put some snow, maybe a little patch here. So those are your kind of options to add in your snow. So now they added just a little bit more character, add a little bit more to it. So it just depends on how much time you feel that you have. If you don't have a lot of time, don't do this. Just drop the saturation to 0 and change the brightness, and it's really as simple as that. So I don't recommend using anything but the path tool, because when you're making snow, because then you'll have to flatten, and once you flatten, you might accidentally go over and paint over here. So the path tool is really the way that I would recommend adding snow to things. I'll quickly also remove the I will remove the color from add color back to this building, and then you can kind of see the snow still on there. We can select all the paths of the snow like this and go back to normal, and you can kind of see the snow patches on here if you want to see what it looks like with color. Okay, I would change the blend mode, I would make changes, but it's up to you. I would absolutely kind of experiment and see